This story is hard to believe, and if I wouldn't have experienced it, I wouldn't believe it myself. The only reason I'm sharing this is because this might help someone else who's been through a similar situation come to terms with what they experienced. And if someone finds it, and if it helps someone, then it will be worth sharing. So, 2014, end of summer. Don't know the exact date. I'm living out in western Kansas in a small town of 5,000 people. And I'm living in a single wide trailer with my girlfriend, Kim. She wakes me up in the dead of night, no idea what time, because the house is hot and the power is off and we're completely dead. And I'd had some power issues out of the main at this place, so it was no surprise to be woken up without any power. But I get up and I check the breaker panel inside, and, sitting there with a Bic lighter trying to view inside the panel, and determined it's nothing inside. Decided I'm going to go outside and see what I can see out of the main, seeing if we popped one of the main bus fuses, the 50 amper. And as I went out on my front porch in my underwear, still quite drowsy, and I'm taken aback immediately because the whole city is dark. Town-wide power outage. Nothing that can be done about it. And I yell back to her, the whole town is dark. And I'm standing outside because I'm just cooling off, waking up in a sweat. And it's dark enough, I'm not even worried about anyone seeing me. Any cars that might come, I'd have enough time to get inside 3 feet from the door. I'm sitting there watching the night sky, and I'm just really in amazement because I'd never seen the night sky so clearly from my front porch. There's no light pollution, there's no nothing. My eyes were already adjusted to the dark. So I'm outside cooling off, and after about a minute or two, I felt this compulsion come over me, telling me, look up, look up. Look up right now. So I put my head straight up, 180 degrees right above me. I then see a large, hard to determine the size, but something twice as bright as the moon directly overhead. And as soon as I lock eyes onto this thing directly above me, it starts moving, or I just observed it moving due south. So I'm standing out and I'm watching this thing for maybe a couple of minutes total, 2-3 minutes. And I see two jets, one from the northwest, one from the northeast, come in and start to converge on this thing. And this thing is flying south. At this point, it went from 180 degrees above me to about 120, 110. It seemed like it was moving fairly slow, but without knowing elevation or size, it was hard to judge. It felt like it was low. And I'm watching this thing, twice as bright as the moon, as these jets converge on it, and it starts to dim. And it dims down to about the same brightness, maybe slightly brighter than the surrounding stars, in the course of about 6 seconds, and then it pulsed in a half second and just lit up like a beacon. Twice as bright as it was before, easily 4 times brighter than the moon. Just this brilliant golden yellow light. And at that point, as soon as it pulsed and then dimmed back down, I couldn't see the taillights of the two jets that had converged upon it. And then after this bright pulse, over the course of about another 10 seconds, it dimmed back down, and I thought it was going to pulse again. But it ended up dimming out and completely vanishing like an ember burning out. In the course of about 10 to 20 seconds, it felt like, after it burnt out, I'm watching the skies, still kind of in shock, and lower in the sky, lower elevation, I then see the taillights kick back up. And then after about 3 or 4 seconds of seeing taillights, then I see afterburners kick on. And that's when I realized exactly what I was seeing. It was them recovering from a stall. So whatever this pulse was had knocked out their power and had caused them to go into a free fall. And they were in recovery. And they did recover. I seen them gain acceleration and pick back up. And after about a minute from the initial pulse and the dimming out and then firing back up and then recovering, the street lights come back on, and I open up the door inside and the lights are on inside. And I'm like, oh, well, thank God I can go back to sleep with the air conditioner going. And I had work in the morning, so I was wanting to get cooled off and go back to bed, but I was still so amped up from what I just witnessed. And the girlfriend was wide awake and waiting for me in the bedroom. And as soon as I opened the door, I heard her scream my name, Tim. Like, you won't believe what I just saw. And she cut me off as I was going to explain what was going on. Where were you? I'm like, what do you mean? I've been out on the front porch. I got to tell you what I just saw. And she's like, no, you weren't on the front porch. I went out to the front porch. She had gotten up, had grabbed another lighter, and had lit a couple candles, and had walked around the house for me, checked the bathroom, checked everywhere. I was nowhere to be found. Went outside looking for me, nowhere to be found. And was yelling my name for the last 20 minutes. According to her, I had been gone for at least 45 minutes. We're guessing here because neither one of our phones would even light up. She grabbed her phone, she grabbed my phone. They were both dead. They were both on the charger and dead. But once the power came back, they started working again. And within 30 seconds of the power coming back on is when I'd come back at the door. From her perspective, for me, it was 2 or 3 seconds. Like, I thought it was a pretty instantaneous thing. But for me, my whole experience couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 minutes. From her perspective, I'd been gone for 45 minutes to an hour. So, I don't know what to make of this. I'm not the first person to have massive amounts of missing time or missing memories from that time. But I can tell you right now, if there are memories that could be recovered from that incident, I'm not sure I want them. Because if they were so traumatic that they're blocked, then that's for a very good reason. And I don't know if I'd want to relive that ever. So, like I said, I'm only sharing this because it may help someone, or it's quite possible one of those pilots, improbable as it is, they might stumble upon this video and they might have said, yeah, I was in the cockpit that night. What a wild night. But if you've had an experience like this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Leave me a comment or find a way to shoot me a message. I'm not going to give out my email here because it's a little wild, but send me a message through YouTube. I'd love to hear what you have to say.